VICI Properties just released earnings and the stock went up a decent amount. And year to date it is also looking pretty good for VICI. And it seems everyone is talking about this stock, so let's dive into the recent earnings to see what happened. Right off the bat, VICI beats on revenue by a slim margin, but missed on FFO, which is quite concerning. Also given the fact that it was a big miss. Revenue was reported at 976 million, up 4.7% year over year, which is actually looking pretty good. Looking at the net income, we see that this number has come down quite a bit, with a total of 19% year over year. Not looking any good. AFFO increased 5.4% and 3.6% on a per share basis, which is looking pretty good and comforts me a little bit here. Another important number is the total leverage ratio, reported at 5.4 times, which is looking really good to me. I prefer this to be in a range of 5 to 6.5 for this type of company. And taking a look a bit more at the business itself, we see that Caesars is by far the biggest tenant, with 39% of the annualized cash rent. I prefer a maximum of 10% here, but with VICI it is a little different. Also because the WALT is reported at 30 years, which is looking really good. It's the same with MGM. And now that we know more about the company, it is time to check the fundamentals of this stock. But first, if you made it this far into the video, I want to thank you a lot for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to receive multiple analyses every week. And also join my Discord channel for free to meet other people within the community and to talk about stocks. It's completely free, so don't miss it out. Let's continue by diving into the fundamentals. VICI is a 33 billion market cap company. PE ratio is not a fair metric to use with REITs, so I'll be using the price to FFO instead. Right now it is sitting at 12.4, indicating they might be undervalued. Later in this video I will show you my 3 price targets for VICI stock, so make sure to watch until the end, because price to FFO is only telling a small part of the full story here. Revenue is at 3.8 billion and in this graph we see that revenue went up in the long run. To me this looks really good, especially for a REIT. The only thing is that growth is slowing down a little bit here. We see that margins are going up and down over a longer period of time. But it looks like the margins are stabilizing here and continue to increase at a decent and consistent pace. EPS is going up in the long run. It is not always steady and consistent, but that's very common for REITs. Analysis expected in the coming years EPS will increase to $2.84. However, the growth will slow down over the years. For the revenue, it is looking pretty interesting, with low growth expectations in 2025 and 2026. However, in 2027 it is expected to increase at a much higher rate. Return on assets is sitting at 6%, which is great for REIT. Return on equity is looking really good at 10.7%. And the most important number, return on invested capital, is sitting at 5%, which is again a great number. It is also slightly higher versus the 5-year average, so that's also very nice. Current ratio is at 2.6, which is a bit too high in my opinion. This is something to keep your eye on, but for now it doesn't concern me too much. Right now, VICI has 17.6 billion in debt, and I prefer companies that can pay down at least a big chunk of their total debt with the total cash. VICI has almost 532 million in total cash, so they can't pay down a big chunk of their total debt. This is something that I don't like, especially in combination with the current ratio. So it's very important that free cash flow is growing, since this is used to pay down debt of course, but also to buy back shares, pay dividends and all other things. And here we see that free cash flow is going up in the long run, which is a great thing. For a REIT, this looks pretty good. Shares outstanding are increasing, which is very common for a REIT, since they increase shares to raise capital. When shares outstanding are decreasing, it increases your ownership in the company, increases the EPS, lowers the PE ratio, and makes it easier to maintain and increase the dividends. And since we're talking about dividends anyways, dividend yield is sitting at almost 5.5%, which is a great number. Annual payout is at $1.73, and payout ratio is at 64%, which is below the 75% average for REITs. The 5-year growth rate is at almost 8%, which is a great number. And they have been increasing the dividends for 6 years in a row now. And that's pretty impressive given the fact that they started paying dividends in 2018, when the company was founded. We see that growth is pretty steady and consistent here. To me, this looks really good. In this graph, we see the expected dividends in 2025 and 2026. Of course, this is an estimation and can be highly impacted by results, but it gives you a rough indication. It is expected to increase at a decent pace from here. And overall, these dividends look really interesting to me. But how about the historical returns? I decided to compare VICI stock with the overall market, in this case the S&P 500. On the 5-year chart we see that VICI returned only 50%, which is around half of what the S&P 500 returned. And keep in mind this is including dividends. Another thing to keep in mind is that VICI was able to outperform the S&P 500 for quite a while. On the 1-year chart it doesn't look any good too for VICI. In total they had a 11% return, while the S&P 500 is at 22%. Again, twice the return here. On the 6-month chart it is not looking any better, with VICI sitting at a negative 4%. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 is cruising at a 8% return. But there's also some good news. On the 1-month chart it is VICI who has found some momentum, with a whopping 7% return. So bottom line, VICI underperformed the S&P 500 in the long run, but most recently there is some momentum. So could this be the perfect time to buy VICI stock? Well, let's check the 3 price targets that I created using the Everything Money software, which is one of the best tools out there. I'm using a low, mid and high assumption to get the 3 price targets, starting off with revenue growth. For the revenue growth, I'm filling in 6, 8 and 10% based on historical performance, their own outlook, but also because of the analysis. For the profit margin, I'm filling in 68, 70 and 72. And for the free cash flow margin, I'm putting in 58, 60 and 62. For the PE ratio, I'm putting in 10, and for the price of free cash flow, I'm putting in 12, 14 and 16. My desired annual return is 12.5% since I can get an easy 10% average annual return with owning an ETF. Right now, VICI stock is around $32. I hit analyze and we'll see a lot of green numbers. And since this is a REIT, I'm only focusing on the discounted cash flow value. We have a low price target of $28, we have a mid price target of $36, and we have a high price target of $47. To me, the mid price target is the most justified here, indicating that this stock is undervalued right now. Which price target do you think is the most justified here? Let me know in the comments down below. My final conclusion on VICI is that it is a great company with a niche focus. It will be hard for other companies to penetrate into this market in my opinion. VICI also has an insane high profit margin, which is very nice and most fundamentals look pretty solid for a REIT. And after a period of a roller coaster margin, it started to look like it's stabilizing right now. The only concern I have is the debt levels. This doesn't look too good in my opinion, especially in combination with the cash. And yes, the numbers surrounding their debt are looking pretty decent, but it is something to keep your eye on. From a dividend point of view, things look really good with both a high dividend yield and also some great growth stats. From a value point of view, I also get really excited since to me this company is still looking undervalued. Not too long ago, I decided to increase my position big time, and I'm planning to add even more shares anytime soon. The valuation looks good and the dividends are amazing. So what are your thoughts on VICI stock? Let me know in the comments down below. But remember to always do your own research and never fully trust on what I or other YouTubers say about a stock. I'm not a financial advisor and this content is just for entertaining purposes only. I hope you liked this video and I did bring some insights of the company to you. I would really appreciate a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to get notified when I'm posting a new video. Thanks for watching and I will see you in my next video.